That's true.
We don't know. Yeah, I've been waiting with our plans on.
I'd like to call the meeting of March the 4th, 2025 to order. I'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting on the traditional land of Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which is represented by the communities of Saugeen First Nation and Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation. We also think of the Métis Nation of Ontario, whose history and people are well represented in Bruce and Grey counties. I just would like to remind everyone to silence their cell phone if they can. Just as distracting for us all, if inadvertently it goes off, so if people could do that. Be terrific. We have received regrets this evening from Trustee Ritchie. So we are to the approval of our agenda. Is there any new business that anyone wants to add to the agenda this evening? Seeing none. Could I have a mover that the agenda for the Committee of the Whole Board meeting for March 4th, 2025 be approved as printed? Trustee Morgan? All in favor? Thank you, that's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest on any of our items on the agenda this evening? Seeing none. There are no delegations this evening. We are to reports for recommendations. We have no field trips this evening. So our committee report, our Special Education Advisory Committee. I'd like to invite Trustee Atkinson to speak to this report.
You see in your package, it says we met on Teams. I just actually noticed that. We did
Saw that.
We met in person, some of our members.
Some on Teams.
We're on Teams, so we'll get that fixed. Anyway, so we met on Monday, February the 24th here at the Educational Center. And we received from Director Wilder a presentation on the multi-year strategic plan. And many questions were answered. So thank you for joining us at SEAC. The committee received an update from the teacher of the blind, low vision, the teacher of the deaf, hard of hearing, and speech and language pathologist on their roles within the order. I gave a trustee report to the committee, and committee members provided an overview of the ongoing work and the events for their agencies. And it's not in your package, but just an updated bit of information. Larissa. But anyway, she was our newest member at large that we passed a couple months ago. She has accepted a job here at Blue Water. So she will not be no longer a member at SEAC. So SEAC's loss is Blue Water's gain. And the committee received an invitation to visit the Amethyst Demonstration School in London. Last year, I visited it, and unfortunately, it's the night of a board meeting, so we can't go this year. But there is a virtual tour if anyone is interested. And I know of a student from Normanby who has. This is his second year. He was actually able to get a second year. Usually it's a 1-year term opportunity, but he has flourished and is he would like to come to SEAC and tell us about it. So maybe we can figure something out. So he's off to high school next year, so we wish him well. So my report, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Yes, you.
Do trustees have any questions? Trustees?
Thank you for the report. I just want to say thank you for bringing up the African school, because I know so many students who have had an incredible experience both there and with their education whole endeavors once they return. It is such a great program we are able to offer our students. So thank you for.
You're welcome. I've just myself learned more over the last 2 years about Amethyst and it's wonderful. So thanks for that, Katie.
Any other questions, comments? I don't see any. Thank you so much. Are there any new notice of motion this evening? I don't see any. So we have our reports for information, our staff reports. First, I'd like to invite Superintendent of Education, Henry Lipset, to speak to the Ham Beach Partnership. So much to
I'll pull up the presentation. Thanks so much. Let's finish that now. So I am pleased to bring you this report tonight. I think that maybe we got delayed by 2 inclement weather days to get this report to you. So we're happy to be able to be here tonight and share. I'm sharing on behalf of our mental health team in collaboration with Katie Simpson, clinical manager, and Summer Coleman, mental health lead, helped prepare the presentation for you this evening. So this presentation will highlight for you our ongoing efforts to foster mentally healthy schools and communities. We'll explore our partnership with Hannah Beach and the impact it's had on staff, students, and educators. So in Blue Water, we have a mission to create mentally healthy school environments. And this means supporting our students both social, emotional well-being and their mental health and well-being. And this is done through partnerships and many initiatives across the district. By embedding trauma-informed practices in our schools, we're ensuring that every child feels cared for, safe, and supported. And we're proud to collaborate with Hannah Beach, who has had a long career in education as a teacher and leader in child development and emotional health. Her expertise in play, attachment, and understanding of challenging student behaviors, such as anxiety, aggression, has guided our efforts to support both students and educators. And this partnership reflects our commitment to excellence in emotional well-being. So we began our work actually with Hannah Beach over a year ago, and Hannah attended Blue Water District School Board in October of 2023, where she did present to staff at a district-wide professional development day in Owen Sound. So this is actually a picture of her on the stage at the Great Lonely Bayshore Arena, giving us a talk to staff. In this session, she focused on the emotional health in our schools. That was the theme for her presentation. And this laid the foundation for deeper learning in a 12th session online series that we provided to our staff after this workshop called Inside Out, Reclaiming Our Students. It's based on a book that Hannah has written. And then she developed 12 online modules to accompany the book, which was shared with staff as a resource after this presentation. So I have a few just voices from the field to share with you in support of this work. Hannah has worked with some schools, and she's also been working with our Be Safe team after this October professional development activity. She's been working with our Be Safe team in terms of supporting some of our PIT clinics. And you're going to hear more about PIT later when Colleen is able to share with you. But PIT clinic is our primary intervention team that is available to support in schools. And Hannah Beach has been working with us supporting that team in consultation. So that might look like Hannah joins our PIT clinic online on a Teams call, and schools are able to call in for consultation around a challenging situation, student behaviors, strategies they might like to try in their classroom, and our team is on the call to give support along with Hannah Beach. So this allows Hannah to share her expertise, not only with school teams, but our team as well. So we're collaborating and learning together and sharing strategies. And so some of the information on this slide that you see in front of you is from our Be Safe team. And they've shared with me, they just value so much the learning that they're getting from working with Hannah, but it also helps them to impart learning with our school teams. So these are just some of the phrases, expressions, tips and tricks they've kind of learned from Hannah that they're sharing back out across the system in consultation. We also partnered with Hannah to give a caregiver workshop, a kindergarten workshop. And again, it was a virtual online event in the evening. And it was well attended. And we communicated out through the system. We advertised on social media. We shared with schools to try to get the word out there. But Hannah really focused on the power of play and why play is essential for child development. And so we had some good feedback from that session. I sat on, and parents had some good questions and to offer to Hannah. We continued our partnership then by partnering with two of our schools in the district, K-2 schools. We have one at Dundalk and Croton in Dundalk, and we have Kincardine Township. Kincardine Township, so KTPS, and we have partnered specifically with those schools with that focus on that K-2, that early learning and early development with Hannah. So Hannah Beach has been to these schools to start off with and met with staff, educators, and did a workshop at the school to focus on some of the strategies in her work and from her book. Since then, she's been collaborating with those schools virtually. So we have virtual sort of check-ins where teachers, staff can ask questions, can bring a profile of a student forward and talk about what strategies might work, what haven't we tried, what could we try, how can we better understand this profile. So we're still continuing that work at this time with Hannah virtually.
Just finished 6 talks in 2 days. I'm in Kincardine, Ontario, and the sun is shining. Just finished. It's absolutely gorgeous out, and I'm so excited. The school I was at just brought me to see their outdoor classroom, and it's amazing. They had tins and muffin things and all sorts of plates and tarps and logs for the kids. They were making mud pies. The kids were building structures out of logs, and I was like, in a world that has replaced play with entertainment, it was incredible to see the outbursts these teachers were providing for the kids. I'm inspired, heading back to my hotel, one more workshop tomorrow, and then I head back. Take care.
So that's just an example. It gives you a sense of this is Hannah Beach, and that this was the day she was here actually in Kincardine and visiting the district, and had a great session. So KTPS did want to share just a few reflections with you so that you could understand the value of the partnership and what the staff is getting out of this, and the engagement that they're having at their school. So they've been very excited to engage in this work. They're learning a lot. The principal at the school, Amanda Neely, she couldn't say enough positive about the impact that this kind of work is having in the school. So next steps for kindergarten is they will continue this work for the next couple months, and then they are hoping to plan a parent workshop with Hannah Beach for fall 2025. And these were just a few school reflections, again, from staff at KTTPS that they wanted to share. So again, significance of relationships and attachment are crucial and essential for student learning. Looking really at the root of the challenging behavior and looking at what is the cause or function of the behavior? Why are we seeing this behavior and how can we address that underlying need? And really looking at that negativity that can surround behavior and how can we reframe that and look at negative behavior in a different light? And lastly, how can we nurture emotional well-being? I just want to share a couple pictures. This is the outdoor space Hannah referenced in her video that she had visited the day she was at school. So this slide is representing the work Hannah has also done with us, where we partnered to create a vlog series with monthly vlogs and or short video clips that we have shared with schools to share out to their school communities each month. And so each month has a short theme with either a blog or video created by Hannah that can be shared out with school communities, parents, staff, school councils, for example. So this information has been shared with administrators to use in their school communities. And this is just an example of one of the topics, why kids need free play. And so again, we're just continuing this partnership. We're excited to continue the work. We are working, we've been focusing on the professional development of staff. We've been looking at parent resources. We're trying to expand that trauma-informed practice and learning with our staff. And this is all in an effort to continue to build the mentally healthy school communities where students can thrive. And lastly, just reiterating our commitment of Blue Water to prioritizing the well-being of students and our commitment to that safe and inclusive learning environment. And just lastly, the picture you see here is a picture of Hannah's book. So this is a book that we have shared across the district. Our teams system-wide have been using this book in their work, and the schools that are working directly with Hannah received a copy. But this is the book that the modules that everybody has access to across the district is based on. So the resources that we shared are there to support our value and commitment to well-being. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustees have questions. Trustee Lutz?
Thank you. I'm just wondering if there will be opportunities for other schools to have kind of the in-depth experience close to what the schools already have. Thank you.
You're the chair. We're just exploring that right now to see what might be possible for next year based on priorities, funding, and those kinds of things. But we definitely are open and exploring. Of course, we'd love to see all schools having opportunity. Yes, but Anna's one person, and also she has commitments to other, to other work as well. But we definitely are exploring that option. Trustee Craig.
Very much a question that was on my mind. I'm tremendously impressed by her work, by the principles that she is extolling about play and about emotional strength among our students. But let me just explore a little more what Trustee Lutz was just talking about. How will these concepts of fostering mentally healthy school communities be extended into every Blue Water school, particularly at the primary level, but possible at the full elementary level as well?
Through the chair. So That's why we're not focusing on just Anna delivering her work, but our staff and our support teams, particularly in learning services, student support, really learning and understanding these concepts and these teachings so that we can weave it into our work, for example, in PIC clinic, in our responses or with our staff when they're out supporting schools.
Yes. I'm fascinated by the fact that she emphasizes the power of play, the importance of play, because what with all of the new curriculum and other pressures on our schools, it's hard, I think, for teachers, principals to find time for the kids to play. So how do you fight the tendency of the school system to want to focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic at the expense of play-based learning?
Through the chair, our kindergarten program is curriculum is based in that play-based learning. So that's built in. For other classes and our other grades, teachers are really creative in how to provide opportunities for play-based learning, so group work, play activities that then can be extended into literacy, for example, or other curriculum subjects, social studies and science. But Hannah's really talking about that early learner and the value of play, because play is how you learn to process emotions, how to develop appropriate emotional responses, how to get along with others. So she really is focused on that early, developing that at an early age.
Didn't trustee Bell.
I think my question was already answered, but just for clarification, so the plan long-term is for like this information to be learned and then shared to the rest of the schools. Obviously, she is one person, but then is it gonna look like more workshop days with people one-on-one, like with the kids one-on-one, or is it gonna just be more overall, these concepts are being brought into the classroom?
Yeah, through the chair, we're looking at both options actually at this time, so we haven't solidified what that might look like for next year in terms of maybe one-on-one or workshops, but we're exploring what it could look like. Definitely, we can infuse the work with the materials and resources we have, but we're just working on with Hannah, what could it look like for us to directly work with her again next year. Thanks.
Student trustee Wood.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm just wondering, how did Hannah come in contact with Blue Water? Was it reached out by you or that? And if we have problems with finding more people, are there others like her that could also go into maybe not just like Hannah too? Thank you.
Through the chair, we came into contact Hannah realistically through our clinical manager, Katie Stinston. Katie was aware of her research and her work. It's well known in the field of trauma-informed practices and also in that play-based learning. So our staff knew about Hannah, knew her book was coming out or had just come out. So we literally just emailed her and made contact and invited her to Blue Water, and she came and spent time with us. And after that first PA day, she enjoyed it so much. She actually opened the door to us around partnership.
Trustee Morgan, I'll come to you next.
I was gonna say trustee Morgan first.
Trustee Morgan first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm interested in what specific age group Hannah is targeting with this. Thanks, Lauren.
Through the chair, her target is early learning, like that, even before our school system, pre-K, so early learning, but through kindergarten, primary, But many of her strategies do apply to the thinking around trauma-informed practices for all age groups. Some of her work, particularly in the play-based, as I said, is focused in that K-3 area, but much of her work around, what is the function of the behavior? Why are we seeing the aggression, the anxiety, and what can we do about it? That can be applied throughout.
Trustee Lutz?
Thank you. And that's a perfect lead into what I was gonna ask, which is, well, I acknowledge your focus is early learners. As you say, a lot of it applies to older students, and I'm wondering if it would be possible to have, whether it's Hannah Beach or something similar, for parents of older students, about these tools, about this type of thing, and even the importance of play, especially as students reach the ages where play often drops off, and it is still important. So I just wonder if we can, if there are any plans, and if we can potentially commit to something for parents and older students. Thank you.
Through the chair, some of the materials that we did, work with Hannah on the blogs and the short video, series that we released, could apply to that older, student. For example, the October blog that she provided for Blue Water, the title was Kids Are More Anxious and Aggressive Than Ever. So that wasn't just focused on that primary, learner. And she also had one on play is engaging and why is it? So it wasn't necessarily primary, but I will take that away, trustee Lutz, for consideration in our further planning. Thank you.
Trustee Atkins?
Yes, it's just a comment. You were referring to the PDPA day that she spoke at. It's still being talked about by staff on how well she was received and the approach she brought and the information she shared. I don't believe there's a week goes by that I don't hear her name in the halls at school. And so she's made a very positive impact with the staff. And in fact, they told me that I should sneak in and listen to them, that we're available. So I've read the book and it's an amazing book to read. You're talking about Katie. Sure, maybe great together. She's really an asset to her.
Trustee Craig?
It struck me that there are 3 items on tonight's agenda. That bring to mind a particular question and issue. The skilled trades program that's being implemented at the grade 9 level, the PIT program, and of course, the Hannah Beach intervention. The challenge to my mind has to be, how do we extend such brilliant ideas, such necessary and important programs into every classroom? So I guess the best way for me to ask the question is, how do these kinds of creative, innovative initiatives get translated to every classroom teacher? And is there a good integration with the professional development programs?
Through the chair. Yes, of course, that is always our challenge. How do we get to everybody all at once, right? But we try a pronged approach. So we try to look at what are our opportunities. Professional activity days allow us to potentially work with large amounts of staff across the district. We have several other standard meetings and times that maybe we can share information. For example, our principals come together once a month. So that's a way to share with school principals and do some learning and work together. Our learning resource teachers, special education, come together once a month to meet. Again, we can infuse some of this learning and work. So often we try to take an approach of how do we assist the message out? That might be through a number of memo, like a communication to the whole system. And then how can we target, different groups at different times that make sense. So we look at that calendar and see where it might be possible.
Good answer, thank you.
I have a question that follows, builds on trustee Greg's. It seems to me, and you've mentioned it a couple of times, the partnership with our parents that understand this information and reinforce or support this work at home would be valuable in terms of how the students, their growth and their development. And I just wondered how we're able to share this information back to our parents so that we're building capacity all the way through the system.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So this year we tried a few ways, the parent kindergarten workshop virtual event. The blog and video series that I did mention that has the monthly communication, that was intended for parents as well, for school to be sharing out. And we sent that out as a system memo and directive to have this information available. In the schools, as I mentioned, KT and Dundalk Broughton, there's an opportunity to directly do some work with those parents. We're just working out logistics of how, a virtual event, or will Hannah actually be here in the district and we host, maybe live event. But you're right, the challenge is how do we get this information to everyone? So we're constantly brainstorming. How might we continue to do that? How do we keep sharing? It might be through things like PIC, bring the information to PIC, ask, for example, our night that we do with our school council chairs and senior staff and trustees. That might be an opportunity to share some of this information so they can take it back to their school communities. So we're constantly brainstorming how do we get the message out there, and we try to use, all those avenues that we have at our fingertips.
And I just have one other follow-up, the blog series. Do trustees have access to that?
That is a good question. I'll get back to you on that. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I don't see anything so much. Oh, sorry.
Just a real quick follow-up, two-part question. First of all, was the blog series only sent out system-wide to primary parents, primary schools?
Through the chair, there were some blogs and video clips that Hannah created. They were sent to school, to all schools to share out as they see fit. So not just for primary.
And then just a follow-up. Was there a limit of sharing them once, or would it be possible to share them again?
Through the chair, I will look into that, trustee Roots, but I believe that we can share them again, that we have access to do so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next report is on the skilled trades technology classrooms. And I'd like to invite Superintendent of Education McVeigh to speak to this report.
So. Yep. Well, I guess when I close my computer.
Thank you very much. Chair and trustees and guests, thank you very much for being here. I'm happy to bring this report to you. Kim Harbison, our Human Service Administrator, could be here this evening, but I'm going to take on her responsibilities. So what I would like to just talk about is trades and apprenticeships. They have been a strength for Blue Water District School Board for many years. We continue to achieve a very high degree of success with both introducing the trades to students within Blue Water and also helping to launch some very successful careers in the trades and the skill trades for students. The key to our strength, though, lies in one particular area, and that is the expertise and the skill set of our staff. It is the people and it's our amazing educators who teach our students that is most important. Now, of course, our people cannot do what they do without the equipment to support them. Pretty hard to teach a skilled trade without the equipment. Many of you know that Kim Harbison is married to a certified tradesperson who is retired from teaching in our system. She has her finger on the pulse of technology sections and special education excellence major programs. She was going to be I'm going to be introducing a couple of people to you in just a bit. We do have two special guests with us from BWDSB and JDSS. And before that, though, I'm just going to move ahead to talk a little bit about the Canadian Tooling and Machining Association and the Ontario Council for Technology Education, or OCTE. Our goal is to expose high school students to technology at an earlier age to engage their interest for a career within our industry. Not only does this expose students to newer technology at an earlier age, but also gives teachers up-to-date equipment to implement in their classrooms. The equipment deliveries that we're going to talk about today began in November 2022, and they range from CNC milling centers, lathes, plastic cutters to CNC desktop milling machines, high precision conventional milling machines, lathes, and with readouts and more. In addition, schools received toolkits and cutting tools, more advanced techniques that were learned later in their training. The equipment that the CTMA has provided, the saws, milling machines, grinders, and assorted hand measuring tools, are essential for students to develop the required skills for years to come. So the CTMA and OCTE have partnered with more than 22 school boards to purchase high-tech machine equipment for over 40 schools throughout Ontario. And within Blue Water, Kim was very instrumental in securing the two grants for both John Diefenbaker Senior School and Owen Sound District Secondary School. They each received over $100,000 worth of equipment for their manufacturing classrooms. The applications for this project include photos of the shop, teacher qualifications, and the ability to host this equipment in the shop. So a special shout out to our executive assistant in our area, Cheryl Lifestow, for her involvement in the creating of the purchase order and following up on the equipment and all the funding requirements that go along with something like this. And also to the plant department, it takes many people for something like this to happen. For our plant department, for our health and safety officer, for their support in preparing for the equipment to be part of the application process. There was a lot of work that went into this from many people. So I would like to start by introducing Mark Klunder, and maybe Tim, if you want to come up as well. So Mr. Mark Klunder and Mr. Tim Wise are teachers. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause. From BWDSB and Tim Wise is from JDSS, and they're going to be speaking a little bit about their schools and the equipment they received. So over to you, gentlemen.
Thank you. It's nice to be here with Tim, a colleague. We're the teachers in the classroom. Tim and I know each other for a long time, and we're both doing similar things in different schools. And we've had the same challenges a lot of tech teachers have had in Blue Water and across the province is aging equipment, and a demanding workforce and, keeping things alive. So the CTMA and OCTI are really important organizations. OCTI has been a long partner with Tech Education for a long time, I'm not sure, my whole career. And they provide resources and links and conferences and that kind of thing. But the CTMA, the Canadian Tooling and Manufacturing Association, it's really nice to see industry step up to the plate and through OCTI reach out to the schools, through Kim, through Blue Water, and to us, the schools that kind of it matches what their goals are, and put equipment in the classroom. The equipment is not getting newer, and the modern manufacturing world is getting newer. So these represent equipment that students will see in post-secondary pathways. They'll see it in their co-op experiences. They'll see it in the local businesses. And then there's also the hook factor of some of the equipment, like the desktop router that I had gotten, and other that they're exposed to the equipment. They see that side of hands-on learning, and it might steer them into taking more tech courses in the future, or just general awareness, or the skills that will lead to post-secondary career pathways. So it's very much greatly appreciated. It is work to make these things happen. It's also a little bit extra work making these work in the classroom context, in the tech classrooms. It's not because we have a diverse, even within a tech classroom, we have a diverse group of students with different pathways, and not every piece of equipment, not every piece of curriculum that's written in the tech curriculum is met. So these offer more diversity, this kind of equipment. It's the right skill set for some students. So it gives us that diversity in the classroom. We just have to be able to meet the curriculum needs with that technology as well. So I'll let Tim talk about his experience.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I wanted to add to what Mark has said, and one of the talks I give in the classroom is about opportunity, and this was an opportunity that came along, but the word historically means ready for, like it has connotations that you have to be ready for the opportunity. Some look at it and say, gee gosh, these guys were really lucky to get this equipment. But in reality, this was probably 10 or 15 years in the making. And the investments that the board has made over the years in the shops, upgrading and supporting. And it goes back, I'm not sure how many years ago, when the trustees passed a motion to provide opportunities for a grant or a loan for machines. Recognizing that the machine tools in the shops are expensive, and we don't have the ability to do that with our annual budgets. That's where this starts, because if we were not investing in the shops and we were not investing in upgrades to the equipment, when Dave Lewis from the OCTI came around to visit our schools, he wouldn't be sold on providing more investment, but he saw the work that was being done, and they were willing to get on board with us and help support us on our journey. And that's really what this is all about. And it's a journey. I was lucky to come into the teaching trade at a time when manufacturing was starting to be recognized as important to provide opportunities for our students. And my whole career has been growing that, helping build several shops over the years. And I hope this continues with the board's support and with the support of the CTMA. Just as a shout out, we've also had much support over the years from the Canadian Welding Bureau. And I know our school at John Diefenbaker received grants over the years of about $70,000 to upgrade our welding equipment, and for the same reasons. There was a huge labor shortage of students in the workforce. And they sat back and they said, well, why? Well, we can't get students excited about the welding trades or the machining trades when they're working on 40 or 50-year-old pieces of equipment. That's the bottom line. So when they upgraded the equipment at John Diefenbaker, each machine, just to paint a picture, was probably about $8,000. And we have 9 of them. So now these students are coming in, they see modern equipment and the equipment that they would see in industry. And that's what the CTMA grant is also about. It's about real world equipment for these students to see experience, be inspired upon. And as Mark touched on, it allows us to reach all strands of learners, because even in manufacturing, there are those who simply load parts, push the green button, take the parts out when they're done. But there's also engineers that are designing the parts, and designing the process, and setting up the machines, and making it able for an organized to actually just run them. So it does meet all the strands. That, along with the specialist high skills majors, I think we're in a good position for our local workforce. So, thank you.
I'm gonna jump into, I don't wanna.
Yeah, go.
I want to add to that. The CWB, the Canadian Welding Bureau, we've been working with them a lot to try to improve our shops, because they have grant initiatives like the CTMA grant. And just to echo what you had said, they're very clear, that organization, and as well as the future organizations, they're not willing to be in a partnership with us if the board and our community partners aren't showing the same level of support. They're not gonna put $100,000 worth in the shop if they know that it might get moved away in 5 years. And that's very clear when we meet with them and they say that. So Dave Lewis came to our shops from CTMA and could see that we had good staff, good teachers in the room that could support the equipment, and dedication from the board and the admin at the school, the facility match that. So that's really important. And also just to highlight what Tim was saying, this equipment does allow for pathways. We're seeing if a school has a tech design, a program that where students are not really interested in the hands-on shop experience, but they're taking the computer-based tech designs, that leads very well into this equipment as well, because we're in a reality where kids are very used to 3D printers these days. I'm pretty old. That's new technology for me still, but if that's just the way things go for them, but they can transition into something that's an idea. And then it leads to, hey, you do this, here's this machine here now. You can make that same thing instead of plastic. It's out of steel or aluminum, and they can enter contests through the skills competition at the provincial level. So there is a lot more pathways with this kind of equipment, not just in the one room with that teacher, with that kid who signed up for that course scope. So I'm just going for some questions. Sure.
Thanks. So they're just gonna stay out here in case you might have some questions. I just do want to emphasize and build on what you guys were talking about, that CWB, the Canadian Welding Bureau, is very much invested in the work that we're doing. We have additional base going into several schools because Bruce Power is interested. We have other partners, especially in Saugeen and Nishinabing. You probably saw some of the Spark relationship that we have with Spark in Saugeen Shores. They are investing in our schools because they see exactly what both Tim and Mark have indicated. We have great shops, great equipment, good staff. They know the equipment's going to be well cared for. They're looking for places where they can do their welding certifications. So they're putting additional bays in places. We've got a great relationship with Georgian as well, and OSD. There are so many great things happening in the skilled trades areas. And I just to build on a question that came up in the previous conversation from Trustee Craig, in terms of sharing and getting this information across with everyone, we share all of the skilled trades information in depth with all our guidance counselors. We have several guidance meetings, both elementary and secondary. So right from grade 7 up, our SSCT, our secondary school contact teachers, our student success contact teachers, they have meetings, we have networking with them. They know about all of these things that are happening. Our principals and administrators, and a shout out to Mrs. Radburn, who's here tonight supporting Tim. Thank you very much. And so I know that they're instrumental in terms of the work that went on both at JD and at OSD to help make sure that this equipment was in place. And I think the loans you're talking about, Tim, that was when I know it was our let's see, that was when Rob Cummings was in the role, but then also, this is about 6 or 7 years ago when we looked at the loan process. So, and that's where, a school, and I think it was Kim Harbison was the first one, and she wanted to put something in and she took out a loan so that she'd be paying it back. Let's say the school would pay back like $12,000 a year over 3 years because they couldn't foot a bill for 36,000 for a piece of equipment that needed to go in there. So that was really instrumental, a lot of flexibility there and a lot of creativity. So thank you very much for that. Our secondary principals meetings as well. We have in-depth conversations with them about all these opportunities. We have our SOS trailer and skills competitions. We just had our local skills competition. It goes to regional next month and then the provincials the month after. And those are all wonderful opportunities where Justin Graham helps to lead, helps to share with me and work with our tech teachers to promote the skill trades, all right from grade 7 up. And then we had a Pathways virtual open house just the other week. And that was an open house, virtual, where people, parents could call in and just ask questions about how does my child follow this particular pathway? They want to be an apprentice. What should they be doing? And a lot of our answers were directed back to, you need to talk to your guidance counselor, but here are some of the questions you should be asking, or here are some opportunities that are available to you. So I think we've done a lot of things to help really highlight the fact that the skilled trades is a wonderful avenue for students to follow. Very lucrative, and there are a lot of possibilities out there. Thank you very much for the president for listening, and thank you very much.
Trustees have questions. We'll go to student trustee Powell.
I just want to say thank you guys for your presentation. I think it really does make the difference between getting students engaged and interesting and wanting to pursue a career in the trades. I think the equipment and the environment that you guys are being able to create 100% makes that difference. So it's an awesome opportunity that you guys are having, and I'm glad you are doing great work with it, and it's obviously paying off. So thank you so much.
Trustee Gray.
I congratulate you on an impressive snagging of $100,000 worth of equipment. That's pretty amazing to begin with. And I'm very familiar with, I'm very impressed by the specialist high school majors program that we have throughout the board. Really speaks to your true commitment. But my interest is more out of my own experience, because I was not a very technologically inclined student. What I gained from my high school education was a bit of an understanding of electrical, woodworking, and drafting. It started in grade 7 and 8. I remember traipsing across town to a senior school where I was able to once a week immerse myself in those kinds of skills. So I guess to put this as a question, what do we do for our students, our ordinary students who are not necessarily technologically inclined, to teach them how to use a hammer, use a saw, and use a paintbrush? Because 10 years after they're 15, they'll be 25 years old, and they might even be married, and they will have to do something to fix someplace where they live. In other words, practical skills for people who are not all technologically inclined.
That's a great question, and being a tech teacher for quite a few years, and being part of the community that I teach in and live in and coach hockey and things like that, it's a common question. People reference their experience, their own personal experiences. So I would say generally that we provide, because we have a grade 9 tech program that's very well populated, like lots of kids sign up. They come out of grade 8 with very limited experiences, with hands-on experiences, and they sign up and they're getting a general level tech education. It's meant to expose them to what's going to happen in grade 10, grade 11, grade 12s. They get exposed to what SHSMs might exist. They see what's going on in school. So there's a general level of technological education that exists very strongly. if they're there and as a teenager, they're aware, they're getting it. So I think we do a really good job that way. We can't find enough rooms and teachers for these courses. So we do that. And then students that will come through my programs, and I've been at both small schools and a large school, and I've taught not just manufacturing, taught other things, is they will get an experience that suits where they're at that time. If they want more, they will have more because it's still broad-based curriculum. So the more they put in, the more they get out. And they'll get a different level of how to be a consumer because you're hands-on material. You know, the act of holding on to material and changing it in some shape or form is a great way to understand how things are made. And so even if they don't go on later on in life to be a consumer, they have an awareness of that. Whether it's hanging a picture on the wall, hopefully they know the right side of the hammer to hold on to, but they're gonna, if they want to take it further, there's lots of opportunities. And the teachers that I have experienced in the roles are very experienced teachers that can take kids to whatever level they want to go to. So.
Well, is there at grade 9 or maybe grade 10, curriculum requirement for graduation, that they take one tech course at least? So everybody gets one.
So that was just changed. So this year, all grade 9s entering school in 2024 are now required to take a tech course. So this is where they have the 17 compulsory, 13 elective versus the 18 and 12. It just changed over for this cohort this year, and it includes the tech requirement.
Trustee Powell?
Kind of following up, with your question, my little brother, he's in an auto shop right now. He's in grade 10, he's taking it for the first time, and there's some people in his class who are like gonna be mechanics, like learning all this stuff, like super, super into it. But for him, he's learning how to change a tire and learn how to do an oil change and all the basic practical things that he needs, and he's loving it. And I think for all the different tech classes, that's kind of what it offers. Like, it is such a unique part of our school, because I go to OSDSS to see that, like, if this is something you're seriously interested in, you are able to have such a good experience learning about it. And even if this is something you just like on the side or just taking as a course, you're still getting a lot of practical use out of it. I think it's so awesome that we've been able to shape classes that do that, because I don't think really any other types of classes do that, but it's an awesome job. And I feel like no matter what, anybody who takes a tech class is getting something out of it, even if it's not their career path they go into. So awesome job. Trustee Lutz.
Thank you. So this is all incredible, and I hear so many things every day from students taking tech classes and from their parents and from others. And you mentioned that you're struggling with the capacity already to do the grade 9/10 general tech classes. Will the requirement, the new required course, put extra stress on the system, i.e. will it limit the senior classes that can be offered or the more specialized ones? Or, thank you.
Thank you for the questions through the chair. So I think the other month, the cable steer shoot reported that we actually have a 96% completion rate in terms of students in Blue Water taking a tech course already. So when this requirement came in, both Kim and I were like, we've got this, like, we are so close. There are a lot of boards who are really, really scared because there are boards in a lot of the big cities that are like, we're 50%. So how are we gonna possibly be able to? That was the biggest topic at the OCTI conference I went to in the fall, was schools and school were struggling to be able to accomplish this. We've got it. Now, we always struggle with the tech teacher piece. Tech teachers are like worth their weight in gold. So, you know, it is, and that goes with, you know, a lot of teachers within Ontario. We have experienced difficulty oftentimes, you know, getting
filling those roles. So oftentimes it is about making sure that we've got the tech teachers to complete these. We're fine though. We're at a 96% before the requirement came in. So we're just that close. So
Trustee Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to say to the gentleman who did the presentation, thank you very much for assuring that I'll have a plumber in the future.
Right.
I have a question. I think this is really exciting. It's wonderful. If you live in Owen Sound or around, or you go to John B. Baker, as you all know, I represent small schools. How do we equalize this playing field for all of our students? How do we give them that exposure that they might not know they have an interest in something without asking those students to move from their home schools and perhaps not even having the opportunity to get into that program that took them there because it's already a big school and a lot of interest?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. And that's one I personally struggle with. We all struggle with because we want to reach all, and it's, we live in a geographically diverse spot. I don't really have a good answer to that. I know we run up against limits that we struggle with, both from the union side and from the physical limitations of our school, the timetabling side of things. It's challenging. I will anecdotally say, so for instance, in Owen Sound, there's a Great Bruce Makerspace. It's not a blue water thing. You guys are probably aware of it. And some friends of ours help out, volunteer, they're retired teachers. And I see through their social media that some of our local schools are doing extracurricular trips to that place. And I'm not suggesting that's the answer, but I see that sort of is like a symptom of what the problem is. And I don't have an answer, but I know that some schools are using that as an answer.
thank you. Through the chair, I know Bruce Peninsula, both Mark and I have worked at Bruce Peninsula. The numbers have gone down since we were there. It is difficult. I know they have a part-time tech teacher now, so that tech is offered in one semester, not the other. I think our teachers do an amazing job at making it work as best they can. I think ultimately it does come down. There are some choices for people, and I know that some students have chosen to maybe to go into OSE for perhaps one semester to be able to get the course that they need, because it's just we're not able to offer particular courses like an automotive course when we only have, let's say, 3 students in the school that might be interested in taking that particular credit. And if that's something I'm the ELO guy. That's something you can't do on ELO. Change the tire.
I can jump in. Can I add to that? I think the one thing we could do from my teacher's side of it is the opportunity for mentorship with other teachers that are in those positions. Like, I think it's Mr. Stryker, who's right now is at BWDS, and he's a fantastic teacher. But we all bring our own skill sets to the classroom. So if there was maybe more formalized mentorship opportunities across the board with experienced teachers, that might help those teachers implement something in their classroom that they're maybe not 100% comfortable with, but that they have a group of students or even a student that wants to explore, that skill set or that opportunity. So that's one thing I think we could probably maybe do, is have some mentorship opportunities for those situations.
And for some kids, they don't know what they don't know. It just seems a shame to siphon kids off of their home school, to bring everyone to one spot that just exacerbates the problem as we go. So
Just to add on to that, I know we have some wonderful co-op opportunities in a lot of these areas. That we have some wonderful co-op opportunities up the peninsula, as well as there are some automotive opportunities as well, where people can be doing some work there.
thank you. Trustee Atkinson?
Thank you. Congratulations on a great, $100,000 for the equipment. That's wonderful. I was extra happy when I heard John Diefenbaker was one of the recipients. And I've been told through the grapevine that Mr. Wise's class is one of the coolest classes that John Diefenbaker. But in all seriousness, it's just not in the classroom. I've had 7 commencements through my time here as a trustee. And I watched the relationships that are made with the students and the teachers are remarkable. The mentoring, it's just fabulous to see that connection. And I'm sure, Mark, you have that at OSDSS as well, but I've personally seen it. And thank you, Tim, and all your other colleagues that are teaching the trades. You're remarkable, and we're very lucky to have you here at Blue Water. So I'm transferring anywhere.
Dr. Wild. Thank you, trustee Atkinson, because I was just going to do the same. We have some amazing staff in all of our schools, but here are 2 wonderful examples, Mark and Kim, of teachers who exude passion and enthusiasm for their subject matter. You're encouraging students to join the trades, to take your classes. It's lovely to have you here this evening and to hear it from you, ones that are delivering it directly to the students. And we thank you very much for not only being here tonight, but for everything that you do to support our students and their success and their future and the goals that they might have. So it's really nice to have you here presenting. Thank you.
We have one more presentation this evening, supporting behavior in primary grade, the primary intervention team. And I'd like to invite Superintendent and step forward.
Hello again. Thank you very much for having us. I'm going to turn things over to my colleague, Colleen McGuire, Learning Services Administrator in our Student Support Department. And Colleen is going to share a little bit with you about our PIT clinics. Thank you very much. I really appreciate an opportunity to be here this evening and to share with you a little bit about our primary intervention team. Our primary intervention team is part of our BWDSB team that is housed within our Learning Services Student Support Department. And so we wanted to share with you a little bit this evening about what the PIT team is, because I know that sometimes we hear that acronym. You may have heard it in schools. I know that our wonderful trustees that are able to sit as part of SEAC have an opportunity to hear about the primary intervention team. So we're happy to be here this evening to share a little bit with all of you. So the primary intervention team is a multidisciplinary team of professionals who offer support, considerations, and consultations to our educator teams throughout the board. And they do this with a trauma and through a trauma-informed lens. And I know that we heard earlier about the importance of really examining that all of our interactions and professional development with our teams through that trauma-informed lens. So how the primary intervention team came to be is it was a model of behavior intervention that was previously used in the water board. And our team happened to be part of a professional development session and was able to kind of have interactions with the team that was using this model in Waterloo, and we're able to kind of recognize that it was something that would be beneficial to Blue Water, and we could use it to support our primary classrooms in a similar way. How we changed the model a little bit was we really wanted to look at that multidisciplinary approach, and so we did ensure that our mental health lead was part of that team.
So speaking about our mental health lead, we know that it's really important to have that trauma-informed lens. And so part of the team is certainly our mental health lead, but also our behavior intervention student support, which is an ESP member, one of our educational support professionals who sits as part of that team, as well as our primary intervention teacher, and our system special education lead teacher with responsibilities for behavior is also part of that team. So the team is able to connect with educators in primary classrooms all throughout the board. So any educator within Blue Water who is experiencing some difficulty perhaps in their classroom, perhaps generally or with a specific student, is able to reach out to the PIT team to ask for some support and suggestions. So always in attendance is the classroom teacher and the learning resource teacher. This is really important because we want to look at how do we support the strategies that are going to be beneficial to the student. And to be able to have two educators at the table, you're able to really consolidate some of that thinking and those ideas. Often in attendance, we have our administrators joining the PIC clinics, so they're able to support from that administrative lens. We often have our early childhood educators, if it's a JKSK class, will also participate so that they can benefit from the learning as well. And we have educational assistants who might be working directly with students, sit as part of those clinics and help them lead and provide some feedback and insight. These clinics, because we are trying to reach as many as possible, happen through our Teams platform. And so they are virtual. It is an opportunity for educator teams to stay in their home school and to reach out and have that multidisciplinary team surround them and be able to offer feedback. So school teams book the meetings through a virtual link, which is provided to all administrators. So we go over that at our 60 administrator meetings. It comes out in the way of a number of memo and certainly through our learning resource teachers as well. So links are found at the bottom of each of our team members' emails, so they're always accessible. So as long as you know who you need to reach out to, and that's where our administrators and learning resource teachers come in, they're able to kind of connect school teams with that service. Right now, our PIC clinics happen twice a week, Monday afternoons and Wednesday mornings. We provided two separate times, just we want to make it accessible and offer as many opportunities as possible. And so after the PIT team has been able to meet with the school teams and have that dialogue around how things are going, provide some strategies, they often kind of will ask us, well, what happens next? And so the PIT team will write a note, an email, kind of a report to the school team outlining sort of the basis of what the conversation was about and the suggestions that they're making to the team so that they're able to have something in print to refer back to. Sometimes in the midst of conversations, you'll know you're hearing lots of things, but it's nice to have a printed copy of all of those pieces. It will offer an after session visit, so they'll often follow up with school teams. They'll make time to go and visit, see the classroom in person, and to be able to follow up and offer any suggestions or discuss further any challenges. Sometimes it's nice to hear we tried this strategy, it really worked, but here's where we're really struggling, and they're able to kind of connect with them in person. Additional steps, if we need to have more follow-up, might really look at that possibility of doing some co-teaching with the team and really planning together what some additional steps might be in order to help the school team have more success in the classroom. We wanted to talk to you a little bit about our what the grade breakdown looks like for those consultations. And we know that at this point in time, it is really geared towards our primary grades, where we really want to have that early intervention happening and support those school teams. And so you'll see for the most part, JKSK is our big, I guess our highest grade where our teams are involved. And then similarly is our grade 1, 2, and 3 classes. So at this point in time in the year, we have had just, we're a little bit more than 58 now, but 58 clinics booked so far this year. And that's in comparison to a total of 32 clinics for last year. So the uptake is definitely there, reaching more classrooms, more educators, and helping to problem solve more situations that are happening. So similar to lots of services that we provide our school teams, we're always looking for some feedback around how are we doing? Are we meeting your needs? And this is just a little bit of feedback that we've received from our staff, from school staff and school teams when we have been involved with helping them through those situations. A little bit more feedback. I know that the support is felt right through from the administrator to the classroom teacher. And that's really important that we have everybody together working as a team. So we are constantly refining things. We feel that school teams are looking for something different, but right now we have a model that's really working to be able to allow us to access many classrooms throughout the board in an efficient manner. Well, this concludes our presentation this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Do trustees have questions? Trustee Leeds.
Thank you so much for the presentation. It sounds like a great program, and I'm just curious, are you finding a similar uptake from French immersion classes as with English classes, or is there a marked difference? Thank you.
Through the chair. There isn't a marked difference, really. We offer the support to all educator teams. The strategies that we use are certainly that trauma-informed lens and really looking at classroom strategies and supports that would support both in our French immersion as well as our English classes.
Trustee Gray.
When I talk to teachers and EAs, I sometimes get the impression that they are overwhelmed by the amount of inappropriate behavior that they're experiencing from students. So I would ask you, do we have a crisis of inappropriate, aggressive, and disrespectful behavior? And has it been terribly exacerbated by the COVID lockdowns? But of course, some of these kids in primary school were just getting born when those lockdowns occurred. Is that still carrying over to impact our kids at the primary level? And I have 4 questions, but I'll try to put them all together in one. And the problems repeated in the years since the COVID lockdowns and challenges those kids were facing when they didn't have much socializing going on. And then my last question, somewhat unrelated, is, but it's similar to the one I asked earlier tonight. How can the PIT strategies reach every primary classroom?
Through the chair. I think in terms of COVID and the remnants or the impact, we're still, I think for years, we're going to be unpacking that, right? And studying that and looking back and learning and reflecting. So I don't think that I have the expertise to say for sure, this is the impact. But we do know, even from what we talked about with Hannah Beach, the importance of socialization and play in terms of learning social skills, social emotional learning, how to get along, and all of those pieces. And so we might infer that that could have had an impact if it's weren't able to be together and learn some of those skills. In saying that, again, I think, there's a lot of factors that go into that. In terms of, crisis in our school, we're not seeing a crisis. We definitely are seeing behavior that we need to address. We have great staff doing that, teachers, educational assistants every day, setting up structured programs and working on strategies with students. I do think that routine is really important, right, for students, and establishing those really solid routines with students so they know what to expect, what's coming, what does the day look like. The work that we're doing with not only Hamish, but other experts in our research are informing our strategies, are informing this work. So we are seeing behaviors, we are seeing the student needs some support, but we're out there supporting. And so sometimes when you offer more support, you have more interest in the support too, right?
Are there any other questions or comments? Steve Johnston.
Thank you. I've been hearing a lot tonight, and it's from other previous presentations, trauma and informed practice. And I think that it would be probably really great for trustees to have some more, outside of hearing that, is some basic understanding of that, and mainly because then we are supportive of those kinds of programs in schools. At the same time, I also think, because you're talking about behavior and students, and that we know that it's just not at school, but it's also, at home and in the community, and that we can also do some work with our families and by extension community by also maybe providing, is say on parent nights or whatever, is what, trauma, informed practice really, is. And where they could also pick up some helpful hints for them in the home or, in the community where, where kids are playing, whether they're playing, in their backyards together or on, school teams or whatever. So it's just a thought. And probably I have some keen interest because my background is a social worker.
Thank you for the comment.
I just have one question. When I noticed the attendees at a conference, when you're looking at a child's behavior, I didn't see a parent involved in that. And I wondered how you link them in again as part of the team to help that parent understand strategies and how they might be helpful for the student.
This particular clinic model is set up that we are not maybe necessarily identifying particular students. So we're really talking about students in general. What are some of the general behaviors you're seeing from a student? When we do the follow-up piece, if there is ongoing strategies and consultation and support don't seem to be making a difference for the educator teams that they would like to see, we can move then a step further and we can directly involve the Be Safe team. So that does require some certainly permission from parents for us to be involved, to do some observations, all of those pieces. And by way of that, the parents are recognizing that we're trying to support the behavior. And then the school team can follow up with some of the suggestions that might be offered from the team through their ongoing dialogue with families.
Thank you so much. That's very helpful. Are there any other questions or comments? I don't see any. Thanks so much. There was no new business added to our agenda. Are there any announcements this evening? See that one.
So, you all know how passionate I am about student nutrition. Well, a week and a half ago, I got the most fabulous email and I was dancing in my living room over it. You might think 9 cents isn't a lot to dance about, but I did. So I'm very pleased to say that the federal government came through for 78 school days with 9 cents per student for a total of $113,000 in Gray and Bruce county schools. So that's our partners and other like Keystone and everything. So 113,000. So when we heard about the $1.8 billion, that's a lot of money. But I predicted we would get a nickel. So when I got 9 cents, I was very happy. So there's not many people that are happy over 9 cents, but nutrition coordinators are very happy. So that means we will have about, for a school of 400 students, we'll have about $2,600 to finish the school year. And for some of our schools, that means they can continue on till June. And so I'm very happy. So all the advocating that we did, if you remember, I did it with the motion to the government, then we pulled it back because they announced the funding and I was really excited. Then September came and we got the funding and I asked Andrew a couple of times that either, we finally heard we have to know that we are getting the money. It's not promised for the 25-26 school year, but I'm holding out hope. So I'm very excited. So I don't know what would happen if I got to court. So anyway, I was very, very excited. My children, on the other hand, maybe mom needed some professional help. But back to nutrition, on Thursday, March the 6th is National Big Crunch Day. So for those who don't know what Big Crunch Day is, we provide apples to all our students, our educators, all the staff, volunteers within the school. And at approximately 11 o'clock, we all take a bite together of this apple and take a bite out of hunger. So one bite at a time, we will hopefully succeed. So that's Thursday. Doesn't have to, if you don't like apples, celery, carrots, anything that makes a crunch. The object is to make a noise and be loud so it's hungry. So I do have a real joke. What was the math teacher's favorite dessert? Apple. But my last announcement, I'm very pleased to share that, as you know, JDSS is my home school for secondary. And I'm very pleased that they are, for the month of March, are highlighting for Women's History Month. A graduate that has graduated from John Deacon Baker. Every day they have a new graduate. We've seen so far biology, we've seen speech and language pathologists. They're all showcased on the JDSS Facebook page. And one of these days, my niece, she is a crown attorney for the county of Bruce County, and so she'll be showcased as well. So that's a little personal. But and all the morning announcements, they have music that are composed or written from women artists. And we have the teacher Trina Thompson to thank for that. She picked out all the music for the morning announcements. She also did that for Black History Month. So kudos to Trina as well. And I said that to Maureen last night at our SEC meeting, so I just wanted to share that with you. So remember, 11 o'clock on Thursday, I want to do the crunch.
Any other announcements? No.
I did have to get.
I don't see any. You have been provided the trustee calendar of events for your information. Take a look at that. And I would like to move for that the Blue Water District School Board adjourn at 8:29.
No, thank you.
Trustee Johnson. Okay,
Not after much break.
That's a much, right? Yeah.
Okay.